All right, in this video, we're going to be looking at heading. Heading is very similar to text. So text, you have your typical, body, text, font stuff that you would have. But heading is basically going to be used for rendering headlines. So we're going to look at the docs, read up on that to understand how to use them, because just because you have text doesn't mean you should use text in every single instance, because specifically there's a component for creating things like headlines. So we're going to look at that. Let's get in reading that. And afterward, looks like we got an example. So yeah, see y'all in a moment. So it says headings are used for rendering headlines. That's pretty circular kind of explanation there, but it says heading composes box. So you can use all the style props and add responsive styles as well. It renders as H2 tag by default. So we have just a simple import coming in, a heading. And so this should be an H2 tag by default here. And just like text, we could see the different sizes, except there's not as many, because headlines technically are already like bigger, believe thicker in font weight. They just are supposed to pop out and catch your eye, right? That's why when we look at a newspaper, be it online or print, wherever we see it, right, we always know what the difference between like a headline and then the body text is. And so we could visually see this right here. So it kind of makes sense maybe not to have as many variants, because it already stands out enough. And so we have this H1 in here as H1. Now, don't forget that you want to make, for a lot of your pages, as you come through, your H1 tags to be prevalent, so that the browser, the Google search engine knows what your pages are about, and it can index them and set them up and distribute them to hopefully your readers in an intelligent manner. So I know this says it defaults it as an H2, and even we're specifically right here, this is saying as an H2, which is kind of redundant, but I think it's just showing the pattern going down the line here. You want to be cognizant of what kind of heading you're showing, and you don't want to just always just tweak the size, because this as right here is really what's giving it like the meaning to your page. And so we could truncate just like we can with text. If you've seen that video, if not, I suggest you go back and watch it for just all the fun we have in that video. And so basically when it runs out of space, it adds an ellipsis right here at the end, which is pretty cool, because you could do those things like, I grew my Twitter following simply by ... And you can strategize that way to get people to click on this article, pay for a service, because everyone wants a gigantic Twitter following. I have like 200 people that follow me, and I imagine half of them are bots. Probably most of them are bots, yeah, which is kind of sad. But we could do truncated this way. We could also override styles, so we could come in here and we can make this a size large, cool, but we could also come in and change the font size as well, which is cool, because we had like the small, medium, XL. We could come in here to the font size and say, nah, I'm looking for something a bit more specific. And you don't have to necessarily use pixels here. You could use like REM or whatever it is your heart desires, but this is one way of doing that. And then we have some more composition stuff right here. We have modern online offline payments for Africa. And this is an example of using a box to contain everything. And here we can see the heading, which is modern online and offline payments for Africa, which is this right here. So this should be an H2 right here. And it's this kind of shows how it looks together with, other elements that may appear, maybe in a website you're doing. There's also some props down here for some other things you may want to use, orientation, a color scheme. And, I like coding, so let's just get to coding some. In this example, we're going to be looking at the heading component here, and it's very, very, very similar to text. So let's go ahead and get this all situated, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So we have get rich or die coding right here. Yeah, I'm a goofball. So anyways, we could do a lot of the similar stuff we can with the text. So let's do something with size. We have XS, which is extra small, all the way up to 4XL right here. So 4XL is massive, right? And if the text goes forever, we could do something like is truncated here. And we see that it makes the ellipse and, you know, kind of dies off right there. We could also do something else, which is, I think, really fascinating too. So we have all these sizes, and you may be asking yourself, like, okay, this is a heading, there's text. How do we start differentiating between, like, what kind of, like, is it like an H5, an H2, you know, whatever, what is it? And we could come in here with that as keyword as H1 right here. So we have this. Let's scroll on over here, inspect. And we see that this is in fact an H1. We want to come over here and make it an H3. We could see it is in fact an H3, and it's retaining its size. And I think that's pretty cool because now you could independently toggle without going into the CSS what you want this to represent in the browser. Also for, you know, the browser search engine, any kind of e-reader stuff like that. But you could also independently toggle the size, and you could do that anyways, but it's just really nice. You could do it in such a tight and concise way. And I think that's like super cool here. So this is heading in a nutshell. It's a very quick example, but if you like this stuff, like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video.